Why aren't there more first-person shooters with dinosaurs? Dinosaurs and guns go together in a way that makes you expect there to be more games about dinosaurs and guns. You've got the Jurassic Park games, sure. Jurassic Hunted, Carnivores, the Dino Crisis series, Tomb Raider has some dinosaurs, but other than that, not much else springs to mind beyond like shovelware on Steam. Oh, Unity. What a double-edged sword you are. Frankly, I'm confused by the lack of dinosaurs in my shooty bang bang games. They seem like a perfect couple. It's like mecha and dragons, aliens and katana, 90s mascot platformers, and a critical analysis of the Great Depression as seen through the eyes of a single mother struggling to keep everything from falling apart. She's trying so hard, but the bills, they keep piling up. Anyways, Turok is cool. It's a little janky being for the N64 and all, but I'm glad we're reviewing another good game. Honestly, when I heard we were doing Turok, I was kinda worried it would be... Oh, son of a... I won't talk about the original Turok for too long, partly because I haven't played much of it. I only recently got a copy courtesy of Quantum Lasagna on the Discord, thanks man, and partly because playing classic Turok makes me wish I was reviewing that instead. In my opinion, Turok Dinosaur Hunter is a good time. Good guns, neat enemies, a vibe like Quake and Unreal had a baby. The game fucks. It's archaic, but it's still a solid game, and if you want to play it, Night Dive's Remaster is a solid package, and you can nab that on Steam or GOG. Heck, I'll just link it below. Not sponsored, but figured I'd point y'all in the direction of a good game while I'm at it. Thanks for the copy, Quantum. I'm having a blast, and I'm gonna be back to playing this as soon as we deal with this elephant that suddenly manifested in the room. An elephant that technically belongs to Disney? Turok was the debut title of Vancouver-based Propaganda Games, a subsidiary of Disney Interactive, though they chose to release the game under their Touchstone banner. After an admittedly lukewarm reception, Propaganda would go on to develop Tron Evolution, a tie-in with 2010's Tron Legacy, before being quietly shelved by Disney altogether. I'm not going to go much deeper than that on the development side. Matt McMuscles recently did an episode of What Happened focused on Turok 2008, and he's a lot better at researching stuff like that than I am. I tried to avoid information on Turok's development to keep my thoughts on the game focused. I'm trying to review what is, not what could have been, you know? And honestly, once you adopt the mindset of factoring cut content into your review, a lot of it becomes, wow, this game was way better at some point. Now I'm sad. To start things off, Turok 2008 makes a really bold decision to help it stand out among the other shooters of the time by starring a space marine. This is Joseph Turok. See, Turok used to run with a Black Ops team called Wolfpack, led by one Roland Kane. To the surprise of anyone who has never played a single military shooter in their life, the fact that Roland's job required him to basically be a sociopath led to him eventually fucking off to do mercenary work for the highest bidder. Not eager to lose their best war criminal to the private sector, the military has sent Turok to Kane's last known location for retrieval. Upon arrival, your spaceship gets shot down and lands in the middle of a jungle, because jungles only exist as storage units for two things: predators and crashed spaceships. Of course, now that we're smack dab in the middle of a lush alien ecosystem, it's time to spin the wheel of unfortunate creatures to encounter in a jungle. What the? No. There we go. This planet is in the process of being terraformed, wreaking havoc on the natural course of life and creating a heaping helping of Dinosawhs. We're not just talking 2 scoops here. We're talking more than we can shake a box of chicken nuggets at. We're eating your grandkids. Take that, nature. From here, you could probably guess the major beats the game follows. First, we gotta regroup with the rest of Whiskey Company, and luckily we have Ron Perlman to provide some covering fire.
Oh, it's you. I'm guessing they're Kane's men. Coming to make sure we're all dead. Surprise!
This is Slade, and as far as a personality goes, he's voiced by Ron Perlman, much like the other Slade I think of whenever I say his name. It's only going to take a gunfight or two before you realize exactly what you're dealing with. Regenerating health, lots of obstacles to crouch behind. It's a 2000s cover shooter with not a whole lot to separate it from the rest besides the inclusion of Dinosawhs, the ability to dual wield different types of guns to suit your needs, and Turok's signature weapon, the bow, which is actually pretty good and makes up for the game's otherwise subpar shotgun. Otherwise, this game is basically Oatmeal with Dinosawh-shaped marshmallows, which, while it holds off starvation, you can't live on Dinosawh oatmeal. And yes, I even write it Dinosawh in the script. My spell check hates me. So I'm going to pump the brakes for a moment to address the fact that I did tweak my game a little bit, editing the files to disable motion blur. Unfortunately, this also disables the game's damage vignette, so if you ever notice Turok suddenly keeling over dead, it's not supposed to be like that. Honestly, the fact that I can't tell when I'm about to die is the main factor in what difficulty Turok has, because, as I've previously stated, I have a bad habit of just running at my enemies while they're hiding behind cover. Speaking of, no sprint. Not a major critique, just weird to me whenever a cover shooter lacks it. Once we rendezvous with the rest of your team, the primary goals are capture Kane and get the hell out of Dodge. But since everyone else in Whiskey Company suffers from being non-playable characters in a military shooter, they couldn't even wipe their own asses without Turok being there to hit the use key. It makes you wonder why they didn't just forget the company and send Turok in solo, since he's the one doing everything anyway. But at that point, that would just be Rambo with Dinosawhs. Which is not a problem, actually. We could have just called this Rambo with Dinosawhs and it would have sold better. First, we're going to spend some time working on getting off planet, like searching for a comms unit that ends up being wrecked by a T-Rex, before eventually finding a lab belonging to the evil corporation Kane works for. And we'll call them Weyland-Yutani, because all evil companies in space are Weyland-Yutani. Turns out, the planet's native scorpions emit a deadly neurotoxin that self-neutralizes in a matter of minutes, so the company sent Kane there to oversee the production of the gas into a marketable bioweapon. That's right, this entire installation is built to farm and harvest lethal scorpion farts. At this point, the goal is shifted from capturing Kane to torching his scorpion fart farm, which is a sentence I would really hope to attribute to a better game. I feel like I'm glossing over a lot, but that's because most of what you're doing in this game doesn't matter. It's one of those games where every plan you make to get off planet fails until, miraculously, you realize the big bad evil guy happens to be squatting on a shuttle just big enough to escape with your buddies in. And honestly, you probably should have just been trying to go after him this whole time, since that was the reason you were on the Dinosawh planet to begin with. If this game had gone from regrouping with Whiskey Company to launching an assault on Kane's fortress, not much would be lost. You know, besides a third of the levels of a game that's already only 3 to 4 hours long. Turok feels like a game that's missing its entire second act. There's so little to talk about in terms of meaningful plot that me telling you about all the errands you get sent on that ultimately don't matter would have felt like padding. And I figured you didn't want padding in a video about what is, at its core, an aggressively C+ game. It's like when you're watching an action movie, and it's got all the stuff you think a good action movie should have, but it's basically left your brain by the next day because all that action movie stuff is wrapped around a story you've seen handled better in a different movie. Mechanically, in the moment, Turok is not a bad game, but it's got nothing to help it stand out besides the Dinosawhs, which themselves are all functionally the same aside from how many bullets it takes to put them down. Once we fight our way to Kane, Turok sets off an explosion that sets the whole facility ablaze, and we still have a bit more gunfighting to do before we can fight Kane proper. And by that I mean take pot shots at him with a turret while he strafes in a gunship. He's that kind of boss. Before we engage in a string of quicktime events ending with Turok driving his knife into Kane's chest, killing him. We're not out of the woods yet, though. The game's true final boss is the T-Rex that wrecked your comms unit earlier in the game. Because of course the game ends with fighting a T-Rex, which alongside Spinosaurus are de facto final boss Dinosawhs. Once you backpedal and shoot at it until it's dead, you hop aboard the shuttle with Slade and I think his name is Shepard, and you get the hell out of there, leaving nothing but ashes and dead Dinosawhs behind. It's really weird that this video took me more than a month to write. I tried looking at it analytically, breaking it down to offer thoughtful critiques of its design. I had a whole page dedicated to speculation on why the first Dinosawh we see is a Compsognathus.
Shit! That was a dinosaur!
But I think I might have been overthinking it. This game has some cool moments, like a lake monster boss we run into after escaping the first Scorpion lab. The flamethrower needed to damage it is kind of trash, but it's still a memorable moment. The T-Rex showing up to wreck the comms unit was cool because, well, T-Rex is a cool dinosaur. The soldier plot is incredibly by the numbers, and anyone with a little familiarity with sci-fi action stories will have the plot figured out after a few minutes. There was, miraculously, no double cross, which I'll admit I was impressed by, and leads me to assume it was cut during development because Ron Perlman cannot shut the fuck up about Turok betraying Wolfpack throughout the game.
I could have taken you out and no one would have known. They'd have chalked it up to friendly fire. Nah, scratch that. You're no friend. You're a goddamn traitor.
If I was a traitor, you'd already be dead.
You might say this is because Turok's betrayal of Wolfpack resulted in the death of Slade's brother. Counter, cry about it. The voice acting is solid, the talents all did good work in my opinion, and I can't really remark on the music because I sort of tuned it out amidst the gunfire. I'm not very good at musical analysis, but none of it stood out to me as objectively terrible. So that's something. Visually, it's a late 2000s shooter, though the jungle locale means the color palette consists of more than gray and brown. The guns look fine, the dinosaurs look fine, the characters don't look like duplicates of the same model, and Turok is, you know, he's a little handsome, not gonna lie. The arenas themselves kind of blend together in my mind, but there are neat set pieces that break them up. Wreckage from your ship, obelisks that you realize that the ribs of something very, very big that we never get to see, and we actually spend so little time in the gray claustrophobic hallways of the villain's base that it manages to be a breath of fresh air from all the jungle. I'm torn on how to feel about Turok because it does what it's trying to do well enough. The worst I could say in terms of controls is that I think the hotkeys didn't always give you the guns you wanted, or will pull them up in dual wield mode when that's not what you're trying to do, but that's hard to convey through the footage, and I'm willing to accept that that's just me. The fact that you use your alt fire by shooting while holding down shift, that's a little weird. I don't really like that. It's not the weirdest thing though. However, grenades work the same way except with the right mouse button, and like, G is right there, and you cannot rebind to these. You are stuck with those controls. You can rebind every other key, but god damn it, you're gonna hit that shift key like it owes you money. There's really nothing about Turok that sucks enough to suck, nor fucks enough to fuck. I feel more comfortable saying that specifically the PC version sucks, and that you might want to play on Xbox 360 or PS3 if you can, as it was clearly designed with consoles in mind. But if you're in desperate need of a new shooty game and just need to curb stomp some Dinosawhs, then I'd actually recommend Jurassic the Hunted, because that's entirely about shooting Dinosawhs and has a story involving the Bermuda Triangle, which I think is cool and more things need to incorporate, even if the game itself is, as we in the business say, budget as fuck. Failing that, if you really want to play it, Turok exists. Just remember, kids, you can't live on Dinosawh oatmeal, so add some apple slices and remember to stay hydrated. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna play some more Turok.
Surprise.